Hello, dear friends. Tibetan Lamas teach that spiritual growth makes us tender like mothers by developing compassion towards all living beings. This is high divine feminine energy. It is the same as the virtue of charity in Christian tradition. It is not a weakness but a beautiful strength. May all beings attain liberation and happiness. Opinion piece. Mysteries of Paris, the City of Lights, the Divine Feminine, the vortex of the Goddess. Will always have Paris. Reactivation of the positive timeline. Let's start. Will always have Paris, said actor Humphrey Bogart to Ingrid Bergman as the lead in Casablanca. It is a universal Ray Bradbury phrase popularized by this classic film, as are phrases such as "play the game, Sam," or "the Germans wore grey, you wore blue," or "of all the gin joints in all the peoples, in all the world, she walks into mine," or "Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship." The figure of Humphrey Bogart, with his hat, trench coat and cigarette case, has become a universal myth for film buffs all over the world. I had a friend who was called the Bogey because he looked like Bogart. Paris is not only the capital of France, but the city dreamed of by all the artists and romantics of the world. And in Paris, the mother of revolutions and resistances was born and grew, from the Tuileries of the French Revolution to the Arc of Triumph of the yellow waistcoats. Paris is one of the world's greatest esoteric enclaves and has therefore always attracted artists and intellectuals of all kinds. French is the language with the most esoteric words from alchemy in the world, but the world's greatest alchemical laboratory was the one built by Philip II at El Escorial, near Madrid. The center of Paris is inspired by the Temple of Luxor, according to the information from the Paris Ascension Conference organized by the famous contactee Cobra. There were key moments that connected Paris with the destiny of our planet. The 18th century is one of the most important times. The ascended beings decided to bring in as much light as possible, because they knew that the dark forces would attack next. From the beginning to the end of the 18th century, it was the century of lights. That is why Paris has been called the City of Lights. Mysteries of Isis. There is strong connection between Paris and the goddess Isis. In Paris there are two temples. One is in the crypt of Notre Dame, and the other is located 2 kilometers west of Paris. The mysteries of Isis were brought in Roman times. In the 16th century, there was a statue of Isis in a church, until a Jesuit saw it and destroyed it. Since the 17th century, some architects of Louis XIV have taken up building projects. At the 17th century court, some of them knew the mysteries of Isis. Paris was chosen by Saint-Germain to activate the double vortex of the goddess. He gathered key people at the court of Louis XV in Paris and Versailles. Louis XIV moved the court of Versailles to Versailles because there was too much corruption in Paris. This is what created a double vortex in Paris and Versailles. Madame de Pompadour activated some changes. In 1762, she expelled the Jesuits from the court. They had to leave, but the Jesuits did what they could to suppress the energy of the goddess. Pompadour gave away the rights of high culture that we have all over the world. This keeps society from collapsing and keeps the peace. The next high priestess was the Princess de Lamballe, initiated by Saint Germain. She began to bring the mysteries of the goddess to the Masonic groups in plural. She was the first person to initiate the support groups. Lamballe opened a portal in Paris and Versailles in 1775, connected to the year 2025, and at the instruction of Saint Germain, he worked on the timelines. The headquarters was in Versailles. In Versailles, the Chamber of Moving Mirrors is a hyperdimensional portal. It is the most important place in France, esoteric place I mean. It is a portal that will open from 2025. The Temple of Love was built according to the Count's instructions. Versailles is a city in the region Île-de-France, located in the western suburbs of Paris. It was the capital of the Kingdom of France from the end of the 7th century and for most of the 18th century. Today is an elegant suburb of Paris and an important administrative and judicial center. In the basement of the Banque de France, 30 meters underground, just below a painting by François Boucher, 18th century, there are 2,000 tons of gold. In the private rooms of the Banque de France, there is an ancient tablet with some codes, universal codes, in quotes. Peace brings abundance. Love brings abundance. Synchronicities. In 1774, Louis XVI became king, and in 1775, the American Revolution began. In 1776, the founding of the secret society of the Illuminati took place in Bavaria. It was in 1775 that the destiny of our planet was fixed, the ascension process. The Jesuits did everything possible to stop Count de Cagliostro. He traveled to Malta and was initiated by Saint Germain. He created the lodges of Isis. The scandal of a necklace started to destroy the Bourbon dynasty because they were then supporting the energy of the goddess. The fall of the Bourbon dynasty was organized to destroy the goddess and to organize the French Revolution. The energy of the goddess is in the Petit Trianon. Even Louis XVI was not allowed to enter the room where Queen Marie Antoinette was during her labors. The king was not aware of what the queen was doing there. The Petit Trianon is a neoclassical chateau located in the grounds of the Palace of Versailles. It was built between 1762 and 1768 during the reign of King Louis XV of France. The timeline of the ascent was secured in 1775 at the Petit Trianon in Versailles. It was there that the greatest potential of humankind was to be found. The Jesuits infiltrated the German Masonic lodges and then the French lodges. Since then, it has been a free world. The Brotherhood of the Star is composed of particular beings living within the matrix, but freely. They are connected to the Dreamland project. In Paris, there are 10 members, but they are afraid of the dark forces. They are there to bring the new rebirth. We are at the beginning of this new astrological configuration, which will be extremely strong in 2025. The light will return after the fall of Atlantis. After the conference, a dedicated group of about 70 participants strengthened the Paris vortex, and another group of 35 people did the same with the Versailles vortex. A very curious object appeared in the skies over Paris just after the meeting. It is a very interesting synchronicity that China abandoned its confinement policy just after the weekend. News of the reset. Luciano Pardo said that this should be settled before Christmas because there are many people in need, but Christmas in the Julian calendar would be 7th January. From Gregorian to Julian calendar, according to Dalbum. Who is going to tell the people of the world that we are moving from Gregorian to Julian calendars, and when is it going to happen? This needs to come out as soon as possible, and not just by word of mouth. There was speculation of pre-Christmas chaos and the postponement of Christmas to 7th January, which would be a 13-day change where 25 December 2022 becomes 12 December 2022 again. But we don't know what will actually happen when it will happen. It will happen in due time. Stay united and keep the faith strong. It's difficult to be patient if we do not know the plan, but good will prevail. According to Juan Osabin, when you are doing intelligence work, a lot of things may not seem right to people. You think this guy is bad, but actually, to play his role, he has to come across as a really bad guy. Conversely, a lot of people who you think are good guys and are portrayed as good guys are not good guys either. So you have to dig deeper, because nothing is what it seems in this theater of masks. Michael Cowan writes that central banks are about to shock the world with a stock market crash. People all over the world are starting to protest that their way of life is getting worse by the day. According to the X22 report, people are not buying the economic narrative. Fake news God will wake the sleeper. Twitter posts information all the time and the media ignores it. The sleeper needs to wake up. We, the people, are the solution. Multiple nations are raising cows separately. First Syria, then Iran, then Haiti, and now Peru. Argentina celebrated with enthusiasm the victory of its national team in the World Cup in Qatar 2022. Pope Francis reveals he has signed his resignation in case of serious health deterioration. The Pope will finally resign, confirms P2 Lodge chief Leo Zagami. What's coming on Twitter will shock the world. No more conspiracies. Elon Musk threatens to resign as Twitter chief. Who is Elon Musk? He's not how he's portrayed, since when do people love the richest man in the world, by the way? That would be like loving John Rockefeller 100 years ago. Storm Rider has said that Elon Musk has been a triple agent in recent years because he played so many sides. But in the end, the satellites he put into orbit are going to be used for declassification with Space Force operations. Cat's opinion. I have read publications attacking Jared Kushner and criticizing Elon Musk, but until his credits are shown in this galactic movie, we don't know who is playing what role. We have no idea who is what. Who is who. So, I don't form an opinion on anyone. A priest who placed an aborted fetus on an altar is defrocked by the Vatican. An Irish teacher will spend Christmas in jail because he rejected gender doctrine. British ex-politician humiliates a member of Tony Blair's cabinet with the phrase, in quotes, "You killed 1 million people in Iraq." According to Born Andreas Bull Hansen, part of the 2030 agenda is to get rid of private property. If you take away property, what is left is feudalism. Dutch leader apologizes for his country's role in the slave trade. The apology comes first, and then follows monetary compensation. Some people never give up, and the Davos Forum continues to push for its version of a financial restart. They are trying to create a global conflict by antagonizing the US and China. They attempt to escalate to nuclear exchange will fail. All their plans are being exposed for all to see. Seismology. Seismic activity increases in the Canaries and Azores. 3.6 magnitude quake wakes people in California Bay Area, Richmond, El Cerrito, Albany, Hayward Fault, according to Mary Greeley News. The fourth strongest earthquake in Texas history shakes the nation's largest fracking region northwest of Midland around 5:35 p.m. local time. Florida receives $4 billion in federal aid from Hurricane Ian. Asia. A 44-year-old Thai princess, heir to the throne, is on life support after a sudden cardiac arrest or attack. Will this be the turning point? Iran appears to have disbanded or at least weakened the power of its moral police. The Qajar dynasty has revived the mysteries of the goddess in the early 19th century at the Persian court. This is the first victory of the renewed energy of the goddess and is related to the reactivation of the positive timeline. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.